So, you don't have any coins to spend at all, but you want to do more damage in Skyblock. Well, I believe I have you covered. Doing more damage is integral to progressing through Skyblock. So today we go over some different ways that you can increase your damage for absolutely no cost, or very little cost. First of all, we talk about balancing your crit damage and your strength. Of course, within Skyblock, there's lots of different things that give you different attributes. Armor is going to give you maybe strength or crit damage, same with the weapon, same with your pet, and many more things. To maximize your damage, ideally you want your strength and your crit damage to be the same. The way you can check is if you have all of your setup equipped, hold the weapon that you want, press E, click the Skyblock menu and hover over your head. My strength is 1429 and my crit damage is 1288, so at the moment they're not exactly greatly balanced. However, they're not too far off, they're within around about 200 of each other. Now of course, ways that you can actually balance this is things like different reforges on mainly your weapon, and also your power stone and tuning points. Like I mentioned before, I currently have more strength than crit damage. That means in order to optimize perfectly, I need to gain more crit damage. However, with our current setup, if we hit a mob, we do 1.556 million damage. And if we make our optimization worse by clearing our points and putting all of our points into strength, which will now mean that there's actually an even bigger disparity in our strength and crit damage, as you can see it's now over 400. As you can see, we should in theory deal a little bit less damage, which we do. It's not massive, but it's a little bit less. And of course, adjusting something like your tuning points is absolutely free. And as for the reforge, there's not usually a huge cost involved. Next up, we have something that is absolutely essential, and that's a God Potion. A God Potion gives you a ton of different effects that in turn increase your damage by a massive amount. A God Potion from the auction house will set you back around about 1.5 million coins. Now this potion with a base alchemy level will actually give you these effects for 12 hours. With higher alchemy levels you can get up to 12 hours of buffs like I have. Alternatively, if you have a cookie active and you have bits, you don't even have to use coins. You can come over to the bit shop and purchase a god pot for 1,500 bits. Now most players have cookies active or have bits to some degree, and that's why I say even 1.5 million is not a bad investment considering the buff that it actually gives you. But before we go any further, you should subscribe to the channel, become part of the 23%, there's no reason not to. Also, you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of every single video. Something else that's quite important is also your combat and your foraging level. Now, every time you increase your foraging level, you actually gain strength, and every time you increase your combat level, you increase your base damage and crit chance. Something else to mention is bestiary. Now, of course, this is usually damage specific to a certain mob. But for instance, if you're trying to get better at killing, I don't know, lapis zombies, it's just a random one, then the more lapis zombies you kill, the higher your lapis bestiary is going to be, which in turn is going to increase your strength towards lapis zombies. Therefore, you're going to deal more damage towards them. Now, your catacombs level is also very important. Not just for inside of dungeons, but for outside of dungeons. Majority of the time, if you have armor, and your goal is to deal damage, you're going to use the Ancient Reforge. Now, the higher catacombs level you are, the more crit damage this Ancient Reforge is going to give. For instance, at the bottom, you can see that it gives me plus 36 crit damage, and that's because I'm catacombs level 36. Obviously, if you were catacombs level 50, it would give you an extra 14 crit damage to what I have at the moment. And of course, in order to increase your skills, there's not really any cost involved. It's just sort of grinding the game. And honestly, the odds are you might even profit, because, grinding that much is probably going to earn you some good drops. Now, something else that really is essential is making sure that your crit chance is 100%. Of course, ideally you want to be getting a crit hit every single time, or else you're losing out on a lot of damage. And of course, the simplest way we can achieve that is through reforges. Like I mentioned before, the Ancient Reforge gives you crit chance, and so does your combat level. Crit chance is something that's really easy and really cheap to actually get up to 100%, so it's a massive waste not to do that. Now, something else that you can buy and invest in is something that's called an enrichment swapper. What this does is it switches the enrichments to a certain enrichment on all of your accessories that you're able to put enrichments on. Also, this guy's name. So basically for 240k, you could switch all of your enrichments on your accessories over to something like crit damage or strength, which may help you balance, well, your crit damage and strength. Now for early game players, it's really important that you understand how influential accessories are. For so long when I first started the game, I just sort of ignored accessories and talismans and wondered why I wasn't progressing and doing more damage. You can pick your first accessories up from the Adventurer, they're really cheap and cost effective. And from there, if you go over to something like Skycrypt, it'll show you all the accessories and upgrades that you're missing. Alternatively, you can head over to my Discord, links in the description down below, and you can run the slash missing command with your IGN, and it will basically just show you all of the accessories that you're missing, the upgrades that you're missing, and in order of cost as well, which is kind of nice. If you play with other people and you think, oh well, we have the same armor, and we have the same weapon, and we have the same pet, but we sort of, you don't deal anywhere near as much as them, or the other way around, then the difference is probably going to be your accessories. Of course, going forward in the future, it's a good idea to invest a lot of coins into accessories because, that's so important. But just to start off with, you might as well get a couple or a few hundred magical power, and it won't really cost you that much. Now, something else to mention is your bonus attack speed. Now, this won't increase your one-hit damage, but this will increase your DPS. You see, the more bonus attack speed you have, the quicker you're able to hit. Therefore, the more damage you're able to deal in a specified period of time. For instance, if I do the same damage as somebody else, I have 10 bonus attack speed and they have 50, they're obviously going to be able to do way more DPS considering, well, they're going to be able to hit way more times in the same period of time. Once again, ways to increase your attack speed will be things like enrichments, so using your enrichment swapper. Also, things like reforges. And like I said before, if you really don't want to spend anything, you can change your tuning points over at Maxwell to bonus attack speed, which for me gives a really nice buff. Obviously, this is going to be different depending on how much magical power you have. Once again, for earlier game players, if you're struggling with dungeons, then it's likely there's one thing you're missing out on. Then that just may be dungeonizing or starring your items. You see, certain items are dungeonizable. Majority of the items that are dropped from dungeons are, a few others are too. As you can see here, this Axe of the Shredded has got 5 stars on it, so that's the maximum you can have until you move on to Master Mode stars. If you take a look at my Necron armor, as you can see at the top, it says my strength is plus 93. But if we look, there's actually a grayed out stat next to it, which is the stats that will apply in dungeons, given the stats on my actual piece of armor, which is plus 362 strength. As you can see, it scales massively. If you're looking to star an item, you can come over to the blacksmith in the dungeon hub, go over to essence crafting, and then you can go on item upgrades, and then you can literally just put this in. Not a great example, but from there you're able to upgrade with essence that you collect from doing dungeons. If this is something that you've not done and you've missed, then this could help you massively to not only survive but also do more damage. One last tip, if you're looking for damage outside of dungeons, early game players or just any players in general might instantly look towards a Necron set. You're meant to believe that Necron set is the best for damage pretty much. Although realistically what you should do is ignore that. Buy a full Crimson set, which is substantially cheaper, and you're probably going to deal more damage, even if you don't have, very good attributes on it. Just purely because of the Crimson's like swipe or second hit ability, which is essentially going to make you deal double damage in a lot of situations. Necron might actually make you deal better one-hit damage, but trust me, the amount of coins you're going to spend on Crimson, it's definitely worth giving it a go. Anyway, that's just about it for today's video. I hope you all have enjoyed, and I hope it has helped to some capacity. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.